So why, oh, why is it so hard to hit our goals? This could be like whether it's you creating like great relationships at home with your significant other or your kids. It could be you losing that amount of weight that you've been wanting to lose for a long time. It's the possibility of like creating a business to help support your freedom, or maybe even like climbing to the top of the corporate ladder. No matter what your goals are, and I'm actually going to help you find out what those specifically are today, what makes it so hard to actually be able to go out there, take the actions we need to take, and do it consistently enough to actually create those results? Well, it's because we have this constant battle going on every single day. It's this brain of ours that can literally convince us whether we should take action, should not take action, should do that thing, should not do that thing, whether we have time or not have time. And this thing is kind of like it's our perpetual battle that we have to take day and day and day after day. And I want to let you know that there is a way to like literally stop the self-sabotage and stop the negative self-talk that is getting you to not hit your goals. So guys, welcome to Modern Leadership, where we see things differently. We help busy parents create exceptional personal and professional lives, hit all of their goals without having to sacrifice their family time or really burning themselves out, which is something that I had to personally go through myself. My name is Mark Hildebrand. I'm the creator of the Ideal Leader Blueprint. I also wrote a best-selling book, Mastering Your Life Through Self-Coaching. And what I have found is so much of the reasons that I've been held back from doing those things, from losing 100 pounds, becoming a better father, a better husband, rising up the ranks of LAPD, creating a multi-six-figure business, a lot of what was holding me back from doing that was this inner critic. And I want to show you today what I did to not only minimize it, but to get past it and be able to flip the switch in that specific moment where my brain is trying to convince me not to take the right actions. Because that is really what it's all about, getting ourselves to take action. But focusing on the action is not what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be learning how to really take control of what's going on here in our brain. Now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to actually share a tab because I actually have some slides for this one that I put together because of how powerful this idea and this concept can be. Okay, so now that you see, we are here to learn how to rewrite your inner monologue and break free from self-sabotage for good. I don't know why I can't read today, but we're gonna dive in. So like I said, my name is Mark Hildebrand. I'm the creator of the Ideal Leader Blueprint, and we're gonna be talking this idea of self-sabotage today. I was actually doing some research into this. I always like to dive into the actual, not only wording, but the meaning of specific words. So the meaning of sabotage is to damage or destroy things in order to prevent the success of an enemy or competitor. Only in this specific situation, ourselves are the enemy. We are our own enemies. We are damaging and destroying things in order to prevent the success of ourself. Why do we do this? And how do we actually find a different way, a different path? That's literally what we're going to be talking about here today. So that being said, I know this is a live call. As we're going, I am going to ask you some questions that I want you to answer in the chat. It looks like, first off, my amazing wife, Teresa, sorry she couldn't be on the call today because of these, because of this presentation and because the screens are something that I really want you to pay attention to. I knew having multiple people on here would be a little bit difficult, but she's in the chat with us and she's going to help us out. And so is Shelly. And so is my boy, Kane Legacy, AKA Kurt, best DJ in the world. But I want to dive really deep into this idea of self-sabotage today. And it all starts by asking you some questions. This starts with you identifying what you actually want. Before we can find the voices, the critics, the words that are actually preventing you from taking action, we need to identify what you actually want. This could be something related to your career success. It could be you getting into some kind of incredible shape, losing weight. It could be you creating more of a connection at home that makes it feel like everybody wants to fight over the time that they have with you. Or it could be related to your business growth. Maybe you have a specific number or a specific amount of people that you want to help in your business, and that is what your specific goal is. So that being said, I want to hear in the chat, what is your specific goal? And in terms of the goal, what is it you really want? Sometimes we grow a business because we want freedom. We want to be able to do it from wherever we want, not have to be forced into going into work all the time, or being a police officer for 20 years, being called in at any waking minute or day and time and just having to respond. Maybe it's this idea of getting into incredible shape. What is it you really want? Maybe you actually want to feel healthier. You want to have more energy. You want to be able to play with your kids. Career success. Are you looking to make a bigger impact? Are you looking to become a leader that can like lead the organization in a better position to really like help people get more results? Or maybe it's like your family connection and you say like, I want to be able to spend more quality time with my family. I'd ask you, well, what do you really want? And having that not only connection with your family, but leaving a legacy where that's something that they will remember forever. And you'll be able to teach them different lessons by you modeling the behavior. That's truly what I'm after as well. So when we think about these, I want to hear what are some of your specific goals? What are those things that whenever you start talking about them, your inner critic starts to get really loud and it starts to talk about all the reasons why it's not possible. Our head tends to do that. It tends to go down this path of like why this is like not possible, why we aren't good enough, why we don't have enough skills, why we haven't helped enough people, we don't have enough time, all those things. What are those things that you really do want that causes those voices to come up? Now, the reason why I'm staying here on this slide a little bit is because you have to actually identify this. If we don't identify it, we aren't going to be able to hear what those voices are, and this workshop isn't going to be very helpful for you. So really getting into what do I actually want? Write it out, put it in the chat for me, and we are going to keep going on, all right? Now, why is creating that so hard? So why is creating what we actually want so hard? Well, here's a few reasons. Number one is because you've never done this before, right? I've never done this before. How about this? I'm just not as good as others are. Like other people, they have more resources. They have more, they look prettier. They're healthier. They have a bigger following. Maybe it's, I just need to have more experience or results first. Maybe you need to, have more of a transformation yourself before you can start helping other people have a transformation. Maybe you've just been working so hard recently that you deserve a break, just some time to rest and recover. Maybe you just don't know what to do next. You're like, well, I just don't know what that next step is that I need to take. And if I knew what that next step was, I would 100% be doing it. Or maybe you're just thinking, well, I'm not ready yet. There's going to be this time when I am going to be ready, but that time is not right now. And last one is like, maybe you're not even sure that this is even possible for you. Maybe it's like, well, I don't even really know that I could actually lose this weight or that I could actually become a lieutenant or a captain to like literally get more connected with my family. I'm just an angry person. Now, can you kind of see what I'm doing here, guys? What I'm doing here is that no wonder the reason why it's so hard is because our negative self-talk is actually making it so that it runs the entire show. Now, I want to go back to some of these that we kind of talked about. All of these are thoughts that your brain can have that will literally be you fighting against yourself. So if you've never done this before, what does that have to do with your future, right? I'm just not as good as others are. Well, you have to start somewhere, right? I need to have more experience or results first. And that's, all of these things. I deserve a break. I just don't know what to do. I'm not ready yet. These are stories that our brain is trying to tell us to keep us stuck. And we ask ourselves, like, why is this so hard? It's because we are getting in our own way. But let me ask you, or let me bring this up, like, because we are constantly at war with ourselves, in our brain, we're actually sabotaging our chances of success. But what if the missing piece isn't you? It's not that you don't have enough time or you're not good enough. What if it's that you've never been taught how to actually utilize the right skills to shut down this inner critic so you can create the life that you want? But I'm going to be honest, like, you actually deserve it. What if it's just that you didn't learn those skills yet? And if that's the case, I'm going to teach you those skills here today. Now, I say deserve because I really do believe that everybody's here to make a big impact. Everybody's here to connect really well with their family. Everybody's here to rise up the ranks, not just for pure money, but because of the impact that they want to make, the business they want to create. They want to help so many people get through something that maybe they struggle with in the past, right? And so that's why I say you 1000% deserve to have this massive success. You just got to figure out a way of unlocking what's going on in here to prevent you from that negative self-talk going down that path, all right? Now, I heard this great analogy. It was by my mentor, Josh, and I want to give you a little bit of an idea, all right, of like when I picture this idea of a garden, all right? I want you to think about a garden. Let's say we're growing fruits and vegetables, and it's like a beautiful garden, right? We plant, we give it water, you give it sunlight, and it starts to grow. And as it starts to grow, inevitably, at some point, there's going to be a weed that ends up growing in our garden. Now, for anybody who has any gardening experiences, which is not me, if you have gardening experiences, you're probably going to be like, okay, I need to do something because I know what's going to happen if I leave the weeds there. Now, what if we continue to have the garden, but we continue to just ignore the weeds? We continue to just like leave them where they are. And then they started to multiply. And then they started to take over. What would eventually happen? Well, the weeds would like take out all of like the nutrients, all the water, and like literally take over the garden, and all of the fruits and vegetables would just literally die. And so when we think about like this whole garden, like when it comes to those weeds, I want you to really think about these weeds in terms of the weeds are the limiting beliefs, the thoughts, the things that you have in here that are actually preventing you, or they're actually being planted right next to those amazing beliefs that you maybe have when you first got started. But if you don't take control of those weeds, they will start to literally drown out the whole rest of your garden. And until you learn to deal with those underlying weeds, you will use all your time and your energy against yourself, never being able to reach your actual goal. When you get rid of the underlying weeds, you can finally show up as the most powerful and authentic self and get the results that you truly want, like I said, and deserve. It's just a matter of removing those weeds. It's just we've never been taught, at least not in school, how we actually do that. And it's not just, thinking something different or being more positive. What happens, guys, when you have a garden full of weeds and you put more seeds on top of it? You put like more apple tree seeds. You put more, what happens? Do they even have any chance of actually surviving? No, they don't, because the weeds have been taken over the entire garden. And until we get out there and we pull those weeds up and we uproot them and we start planting different seeds, we're not going to be able to have anything different. That's why just having positivity is not the answer to the weeds. That's why it's time today to master your belief system. And that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to start to master our belief system. Now, there's a couple different parts to this, all right? The first part that we're going to go into is mastering the unconscious mind. Now, Carl Jung, he made this statement, and it's so powerful. It's like, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. Meaning, there's things that are going on in the background that you aren't even consciously thinking about that are trying to run the show for you. Some of those thoughts that we had in the beginning, a lot of times we don't honestly just think them. They just happen naturally, and we experience some type of feeling in our body. Now, when it comes to our brain, I want you to understand that there's two primary purposes, or two primary reasons that, or two primary actions that it's there to take. And I want to explain this to you in the confines of our unconscious mind, okay? So there's two reasons for the brain. Number one is to help you keep you safe. It wants to keep you safe. It doesn't want you to die. It doesn't want you to do anything new. It doesn't want you to do anything uncomfortable, because back in the day, if we went out into the prairie and we didn't, like, the hairs on the back of our neck stood up and we didn't walk back, we didn't go back inside and we stayed outside, we could literally, be eaten by a bear. We could have, been thrown out of our tribe if we didn't agree with some of the things that they were doing. And then we couldn't survive on our own because we're hunter-gatherers, right? And so our brain is doing whatever it can to keep us safe. That's how it evolved, and that's how it really has kept us stuck, right? It's like, don't do anything new, because if you do something new, if you start that new business, if you start a new way of eating, if you do all of these uncomfortable things that are like, it's called change, like, we don't want to do that because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to live. And so that first part of your brain, like understanding that it's there to keep you safe, is going to help you make the unconscious conscious. It's like, I know why you're doing this. You're doing this because you think that like something's going to be unsafe if I go give a speech in front of people. It's going to be unsafe if I ask somebody to invite my business or to join my business. I'm going to be unsafe if I raise my hand during a presentation and like ask a really great question. But in reality, like, I don't know what the other leaders are going to think about me. That's what our brain is doing. And when we can understand that, we can go, so I know what's unconsciously going on here. And we bring it into our unconscious mind and we can take it to the next step. Now, before we do that, this is the first thing that our brain does. It wants to keep us safe. The second thing it does is it automates things. It wants to do things like without having to think about it. Meaning, if you go to brush your teeth, you don't have to think about, okay, let me move my hand over here, then move my hand down, and then grab the toothpaste, and then open the tooth, and then put it over here. Like, you don't want to have to do that. You would literally be thinking about your whole life just walking and like, driving and all those kind of things. Like, haven't you ever had those experiences where you get into your car and then you get to your destination, you're like, I don't even remember like what streets I took to get here. And that's because your brain wants to automate it. It doesn't want to have to think about all those things because it would be totally bogged down. That's why they say like 95 to 97% of what's going on in here is like automated. It's automatic. It's unconscious. You're not even thinking about it, right? So what happens when your brain is trying to keep you safe and it's automating all the things that have kept you safe in the past? It keeps things trapped. And like my mentor says, your limiting beliefs are constantly looking for a story to justify your fears and excuses. Meaning it will do whatever it can. Like, you don't have time. You don't have money. Like, how's this going to work for you? You've never done this before. Like, who are you to be a great leader? Like, these people are like way better than you. Like, why would they want to sign up with you when they can sign up with them? It will do whatever it can to get us off track. But when we understand that, that's when we can start to make the unconscious conscious. Because if you can do that, then you can start to have control over it, going, oh, so I know why you're doing this, and I don't want to go down that path. I can go down an entirely different path in and of itself, right? Now, why does this even matter? Well, first off, when you learn this skill, when you learn how to make your unconscious conscious, those unconscious thoughts conscious, you actually get to take control of your mind instead of your mind controlling you. So you get to realize like when it is that your brain is kind of going down that path, so you can stop yourself and go, no, this is like, I understand what you're trying to do, and I understand you're trying to keep me safe, but speaking in front of people is not going to kill me. But doing this thing is not going to like actually hurt me. But trying a new business opportunity is not going to actually, be my demise, right? You can step in and you can start doing that. Now, the reason why this is so important is because when you understand what is actually going on in here, and when you understand what unconsciously is happening in your brain, you can actually understand why you get yourself to take action. Because number 2 is belief drives your behavior. Meaning, what you do and what you say is fundamentally driven by what you believe. If you believe it's possible, then you're going to feel a certain way in your body. When you feel that way, you're going to take the actions. If I think it's possible for me to lose weight, then I'm going to feel a certain way in my body, like I can do this. I'm powerful. I can actually lose weight, and then I'm going to take the actions of somebody who's losing weight. If I don't think it's possible, guys, and this could be on an unconscious level, maybe you've tried 4 or 5 different things and you've convinced yourself that it's not possible for you because all these other things you tried didn't work, even though it has nothing to do with your future success. Like, your past doesn't have anything to do with your future success. You could make a decision today, do something else entirely different, and have an entirely different life for the rest of your life. But what happens is our brain tries to trick us into being in the past. When we understand that fundamentally what we believe actually can drive our behavior, we understand that when we think, oh, I just don't have the time, what are you going to do? You're going to literally go out there and prove that you don't have the time. You're going to show me your phone in terms of like, yeah, see, look at all the things that I have going on right here, because your brain is like, it wants to be right. It wants to be like, you know what? I want to prove to you that I don't have enough time. But if you change that belief, let's say the belief is like, I'm making this a priority. I'm finding the time to make this a priority of mine because it's important to me. The belief now of I'm finding the time to make this a priority because it's important to me is now going to have you taking different sets of actions. Instead of taking the action of beating yourself up, of saying, I knew I should have done this last time. And so we can understand that when belief is actually what drives our behavior, we can actually get ourselves to take the action. That's literally why I wrote my book, Mastering Your Life Through Self-Coaching, because people are like, Mark, dude, when the alarm goes off, like, how do you get yourself out of bed? It's because I understand that unconsciously my head would go into like, oh man, like you did so much extra work yesterday. Like you could just snooze, you can start tomorrow. Like it's not a big deal, right? And then that would get me to feel a certain way, and then I would not actually get up. I would hit the snooze button. And instead I was like, wait, that didn't work last time. Let me think of something else. And instead I started to think about, okay, there's a belief in here that's getting me to hit the snooze button. But when I don't want to hit the snooze button, when I actually want to get up and I want to be healthy, what is something that can fuel me to actually go do that? So I started to think about like, oh, well, how about like, I'm doing this for my kids. Like I'm doing this so that not only can I play with them and really have like amazing experiences with them, but also model the right behavior for them so they don't have to struggle with 100-pound weight loss like I did, right? And so now this belief, the alarm goes off, my brain is like, oh no, like we got this. Like you're doing this for your family, remember? then it gets me to get up and I take those actions. And so people are like, well, how do you do that? It's because I understood that belief is what drives behavior. Not thinking about what I'm going to do next time, not any of that. It's like, what is the belief that I have that's actually getting me to take those actions? And this also works for the actions that you're not going to take. Now, what most people do is they don't understand that their belief is what drives their behavior. They just start to attack the behaviors that they can do. They can say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to move my alarm clock across the street. Tomorrow I'm going to, set 14 different alarms, right? And they try to circumvent it by actually attacking the action that they want to take. They want to create their business. They want to, apply for that position. They want to speak in front of people. And they're just like, oh, I'll just do that next time. They don't realize that it's actually the root of the problem is what they believe. If what they believe is not in alignment with going out there and taking action, it's not in alignment with not hitting the snooze button and actually exercising, it's not in alignment with you actually connecting with your family, it's very easy to convince yourself to go down a different path. And that's why, it's really important to have a system that can help you do all of this. Now, when you learn this skill, that belief drives behavior, you can take full control of your behavior and stop the negative self-talk that is keeping you stuck. You can shut it down and say, I understand what you're trying to do here. Yes, thank you so much for that, but we're going a different way, right? Now, a lot of people ask me how, okay? So we have making the unconscious conscious, and then we have belief drives behavior. So when we understand what is actually, we're thinking about, then we can get to what that belief is when it comes to the behavior that we're currently taking. But some people are like, that's great, Mark, but how do you actually work this? How do you actually see what belief is holding you back? And how do you find a belief that's in alignment with me showing up as the father or the parent that I want to, me showing up as the leader that I want to at work, me showing up as a successful business owner, really helping people change people's lives, right? Well, that is what we're going to be talking about here today, because when you follow a system to help you identify the belief that is keeping you stuck, and it helps you find a new belief that's in alignment with what you really want, that is how you will get yourself to show up. I'm living proof of that. It's how I lost 100 pounds. It's how I rose up the rank of LAPD. It's how I've done my best to become a better father and a husband. And it's how I've created a multiple six-figure coaching business and even a coaching certification that I co-created with my mentor, is because I understood that if I had a system to show me what was going on in here and how to get out of my own way, that literally I could do anything that I wanted. And it actually did happen. Now, how we're going to talk about this, or how I'm going to describe this to you, it's a system that we use called the push method. All right. Now, before this, anytime that somebody wanted to learn the push method, they had to take our certification. So we have this push coach certification school where we dive deep into the push method, way deeper than we're going to go right now. And when we do that, we actually give people the ability of using the push method for other people. Here's the thing. As a leader, when you understand that your belief drives your behavior, it actually allows you to help other people take the actions they want to take, and also helps you lead them more effectively, because you're not just telling them to take action. Guys, remember, it's not the telling them to take action that gets them to take action. It's their belief that drives their behavior that gets them to take action. When you understand this as a leader, that's when you become a modern leader, because you can ask questions to get people to come to their conclusions and get them to take action for what they want and their why, not yours. And that's the difference between being a manager and being a leader. Me trying to get people to take action that's in alignment with what they want, but also is in alignment with what's on the team, right? So the push method is our universal leadership tool to help you end negative self-talk so you can create the results you truly want, all right? Now I'm going to take you through what an actual push method looks like. Like I said, if you want to deep dive in this is something we teach inside of our certification, all right? But I want to go through this really quick because I want you to also see how this would show up in your life, all right? When you think about life situations that you're in, there's 5 interconnected pieces here, all right? The top of this equation is the facts, all right? You can see it here on the screen, facts. These are things that happen outside of ourselves. These are things like the weather. By the way, just before this, it started snowing in California, and my son was freaking out because we don't actually get snow, right? But it's a fact. It's snowing outside, all right? This is also a fact of what people say. So if somebody says, Mark, you're an idiot, that's a fact. It happened, right? The dishwasher is full. Teresa loves when I talk about the dishwasher, so I like to bring it up. The dishwasher has dishes in it, all right? These are all facts. They're not positive or negative. They just exist. So COVID, it's a fact. It exists, right? Now, we don't have, we have an interpretation of what those facts mean, but the facts are not positive or negative. They exist. until we have a story that we generate in our brain. This is our belief system right here. We have a story that we generate about that thing. Now, let me ask you, when I say the words COVID, what comes up for you? Generally, what happens is somebody hears the word and then they get a feeling in their body. They forget there's a middle part there. There's a belief. It's hard to find that. That's why we use the push method, because we got to find what that thing is. If we really want to change it up, we need to find what that story is so we can find a new one. All right. Now, that story is our interpretation. It's the thoughts, it's the sentences, it's the beliefs that we have in our head that is our interpretation of what's happening outside of us. Now, the reason why your story is so important is because we have this thing versus head versus heart. All right. Your head is what I talked about earlier. It keeps you safe. It's like anytime something comes up and it's rooted in like scarcity, in lack, in like fear, in like it's not possible for you, like shame, guilt, humiliation, all of those kind of like things, it's being rooted, or it's being your head voice is actually trying to take over to prevent you from doing the thing that you know you need to do. That's our head voice. But there's a second place that we can listen to, which is our heart. And they constantly battle. And here's the thing, the heart is so much more powerful, but it's way turned down on the volume. Now, if you were to have a conversation with your, like let's say one of your kids or somebody you truly believed in, and they were going through that same struggle that you were going through, like let's say your kid comes up to you and says, you know what, I want to become a police officer when I get older, right? So I would tell him, first off, let's second guess that. No, I wouldn't. But if he said like, hey, Dad, I really want to be a police officer, what is my response going to be? My response is probably going to be from my heart. It's going to be like, 100%, like you're going to do incredible at that. You're going to make a huge impact. I'm going to be here to help you every step of the way. You're going to crush this. Let's go do it, right? That's my heart voice, because I really do believe in them. I have like hope, purpose, potential, all the things that fuel me to like really get after it, right? But now I want to like switch this around. Like, what if I ask myself that question? What if you ask yourself like, hey, do you want to be a police officer? Like if I wanted to be a police officer, for example, even though I've been one for 20 years, if I wanted to be a fireman, my story now is going to all go to my head. It's going to be like, well, I'm too old. I already have my own like business right now. Like I have, good health insurance, and I don't know if I can pass the tests, and I don't know if I'm like in a physical enough shape. Like I don't know about my age and my height and my weight and all this. My head starts to take over. Because when we start to believe those stories, it gets us not into taking action, right? So when we have this story, which is constantly a battle between head versus heart, the reason why that's important is because it will get you to feel a certain way. If you think that it's not possible for you, if you think that you just don't have the time, you will feel a certain way in your body. It could be a feeling of like being empowered. It could also be a feeling of being depressed. It can also be angry, could be a feeling. That was a feeling that I used to have all the time. And that is the result of what's going on in here. So you will feel a certain way. When you feel that way, those feelings will get you to take action. It'll also get you to not take action. And it'll get you to like literally spin in your head sometimes, where you go down that negative thought loop of like spinning like, I should have done this, I should have done that. This is where that kind of like comes into play. Now, when you get to the bottom line of the push method, you're actually manifesting or creating the experience that you're currently creating. So if your story is like, I just don't have time, and you feel like disempowered or like frustrated, you're going to start taking those actions. If you don't have time, what kind of actions do you take if you feel like you don't have time? Well, you stop making the time, right? You close your laptop if you have a business. You do all the things that are in alignment with that story of like, I don't have time. And at the end, what you manifest is you actually don't have time. You don't find the time. You don't make the time. You don't do anything, right? And then we beat ourselves up thinking there's something wrong with us. But remember, it's nothing wrong with us. Like we are, to our core, we are perfect. It's just our head voice was able to take over in that specific incident, okay? Now, I want to share with you how this can actually show up in your real life. I have a few different push methods I can walk you guys through to show you like how this can actually show up, all right? So let's talk about the facts. The facts of this one are you start a new workout program and your alarm goes off in the morning time, all right? Your story is like, I'm doing this for my kids. No, let's start off with a head voice. I deserve a break today. You know what? I'll start tomorrow. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start tomorrow. I deserve a break today. I had a really rough day yesterday. The feeling that creates is a feeling of disappointment. When you feel disappointed, you hit the snooze button, you don't exercise. And if you don't exercise, guess what? You can definitely convince yourself that it's not a good idea for you to start eating healthy either. It's probably gonna be something that you do tomorrow, right? Then you make it harder on yourself for next time, because if you give in to yourself this time, tomorrow's gonna be much harder. And then as you go, you start to beat yourself up because you're like, this is never gonna be possible for me. See, I told you I was never gonna be able to lose weight. And what do you actually manifest? Well, you never start. It's always tomorrow. How many of you guys ever had that? Where you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you're like, oh, tomorrow. And then you do it tomorrow. Guys, all of us have had this situation. I can tell you for me personally, like this, it was something that was coming up for me all the time. I didn't get to the place where I was 100 pounds overweight by like not listening to my head voice. I was constantly listening to it. But I want to show you what we can do when you understand how to use the push method. Number one, so you start a new workout program and the alarm goes off. Same facts, all right? Those don't change. Now your news story is this is a great opportunity to model this behavior for others. Like it's not the times when it's easy that makes me a powerful leader. It's the times that are the hardest of all and I get beyond myself and I take the action anyway. This gives me the great opportunity to model that behavior for others. Well, how does it feel when you think that? Well, it makes me feel empowered. Well, when you feel empowered, what do? You wake up, you exercise, you crush your workout, you share it with others, you inspire others, you make a post about it, you eat healthy, and the next morning, guess what? Your alarm goes off and you go, I crushed that yesterday. Let's get it today, right? Because you're able to now find this heart voice where you can like literally lean into it, all right? Let me give you a one related to your career, all right? Let's say the facts are you go out for a position in your career and you don't get it, okay? Those are the facts. It's not positive or negative, but I'm gonna ask you like, what's the problem with that? What's your interpretation of it? And maybe your thought is like, you know what? I knew I wouldn't get the job. I'm just not a good leader. Plus, you know what? When it comes to police work, like it's all about politics and who you know. So what does that make me feel when I think that? Well, it makes me feel angry. And when you're angry, how do you show up at work? Well, you stop applying for new positions. You start undermining your organization and your boss. You resent the person who ended up getting the job and you're not there to help them, right? You beat yourself up with a negative self-talk of like, see, I'm just not a good enough leader. And then you talk yourself out of doing anything besides the bare minimum. So what do you actually manifest? You actually manifest that you really shouldn't have gotten the job because you really aren't a good leader. Because instead of leaning in and saying, you know what can I do better? How can I help support this person? And how can I make it be to the point where after the next time, the next promotion, they're like, he's already doing the job. Let's give him the job because he's like, not only did he shine through the last time where we gave it to somebody else, but he's actually showing up and doing it already. And you can kind of see like how this would go. And if you can pull out the push method in this situation, which is this is an actual situation that I went through, I noticed I didn't show up the way that I wanted to, so I had to reframe it. And so what happened was I sat down and I was able to get coached. And I went through the facts again. The facts again for this heart voice is you go out for a new position and you don't get the job. All right, same facts, those don't change. Instead, my story was like, this is a great opportunity for me to show them that I actually deserve the spot because it's not the easy days that make me a great leader. It's the hard ones like this. And when I can lean in and I can help the person who did get the job and I don't have any ill feelings and I go out there and I start doing the job, even though I'm not getting paid to do it, that literally sets me up for success in the future. Whether or not they decide to give it to me, I'm going to be the leader anyway. Guys, you guys know that like when it comes to being a leader, like you don't need a position to be a leader, right? I mean, to be a manager, you do, but to be a leader, you can lead from anywhere in your organization. What do you think it's going to be like when you're leading from that area of the organization and a promotion comes up? They're going to be like, oh, this person's like a shoe-in for it because they're actually a leader, right? And the reason why is because when you think this, it gets you to feel powerful. When you feel powerful, what do? For me, I stepped up and I took ownership. I met with other probationary officers who were struggling, who weren't getting help, asked them how can I best help them. I actually went to my boss and I said, hey, I don't feel like I did really well in this interview. Like, what are some things that I can work on? So he gave me a list of different things to work on. I went back and did those things and I went back to him and I said, what do you think? Like, am I doing better? And he's like, you're doing way better. This is awesome, right? It ended up being that after this happened, I actually manifested the next promotion. The next promotion came up and they're like, dude, Mark's already crushing it. Let's get him in here. He's going to be the person to do this. And it was because of the story that I ended up finding in here, that belief that got me to drive my behavior to do the things that I needed to do, not sabotage myself, which was what I was doing before. Sabotaging myself was getting resentful, getting angry, getting frustrated, like not like leaning in the times when I really needed to lean in. That's the way that our mind works. And it's so smart, guys. Here's the thing. Sometimes people are like, I could do this on my own, which is great. I really do hope that you at least try to do it on your own. But in reality, like when you are the person who has the behind the scenes view, it's super hard to coach yourself through your own stuff because you have all of the behind the scenes view. And your brain is super smart. It will convince you that you're not good enough, that you need more. You need to put some more stuff together. You need to get more of a transformation. You need to have more years experience. You need to be this color or this age or this sex. All of those things are just meant to keep you safe. but the opposite is true too. That's why they're called a belief and not a truth. A truth is like a universal, right? A belief is something that you can change if you have a little bit more information or you think about it a little differently, right? A little bit of a different perspective change. We've had people, and I've been this too, where you believe something to the core and then something happens and they're like, hey, the earth isn't flat, it's actually round. And then what happens? Your belief can change. A truth can't. But all the things we're talking about today are beliefs that will actually get you to take the actions that you don't want to take. And if you lean into your heart, you will start taking the actions you want to take every single time. And it's so powerful when you get to experience that, all right? Now, I want to ask you, what would it be like if you could take full control of your self-talk and stop sabotaging your results? What do you think your life would look like? And I want to hear that in the comments. What do you think your life would be like if you were able to get out of your own way? If you were able to stop the negative self-talk? If you were able to not only do this like for yourself, but do this for your family? Like, what kind of impact would that make? Now, we talked a little bit about in the beginning, and I want you to go back to that, like what your goals are. Like whether it's career goals, business goals, health goals, relationship goals, like whatever those goals are, I really want you to think about like, what would it be like if you were able to get out of your own way, take those actions and not do it from a place of like feeling like you're shame or guilting yourself into doing it. No, I mean like you actually want to take the actions. That's what a lot of people think. Like they think like when you understand belief drives behavior that we're tricking our mind into doing things that we don't want to do. No, what if I could help you actually want to do them? Feel so compelled, you're like, after this call, I'm doing this. This is the next thing that I'm going to do. And that's the power of what I want to talk about right now, right? So would it be okay if I spent the next few minutes talking about a system that we've created using the push method, but we use it in a way to allow you to take full control of your self-talk so you can become a confident, modern leader in all areas of your life? If so, definitely we're going to be jumping on this, or I'm going to be breaking down something for you in a second. But if you are like, you know what, I got everything, I love this, I know that until I make the unconscious conscious and I really focus on belief drives behavior, I'm good, and you don't need any of this, 100%, that's cool. But if you're like, okay, I need an actual system that seems a little bit complicated, this seems like I don't know like how to find these answers out, and I also don't know how to help other people who are struggling with this too, because if you're leading people, guess what, they have limiting beliefs too that are going to get them to take certain actions and not take certain actions. And that's what I want to talk about for you guys here today. We're going to talk about the ideal leader blueprint. I kind of talk about it in the beginning, but this is how you, or where you learn the skills to develop into a modern leader. Now, what I talked about today, a portion of this is leading yourself. It's really like focusing on your subconscious mind, the things that are actually preventing you from taking those actions, all right? That was one part of leading yourself. The other part of leading yourself has to do with your physical and mental health related to your stress, as well as like self-coaching, getting yourself to show up and make these site corrections along the way so that you can effectively lead yourself. Guys, everything I talk about, not only in this channel, but everything I talk about inside of the Push Coach Certification School, everything that I talk about has to do with leadership. Being able to lead yourself, being able to lead your family, and being able to lead others, all right? So this first aspect that we went into today was leading yourself. But there's two other pillars that we absolutely need to talk about. Second one is leading your family. When I say leading your family, I mean having relationships like that you really, not only at the level that you want them to be at, but like getting to that point where you're creating a legacy where they remember you, like we say, like always and forever, but doing it in a way that you feel most connected with your family, that they love spending time with you. They miss seeing you. They want to like do extra things with you, because they actually enjoy the connection that you have, and you know your family on a really deep level, and you're at that level. You're eating dinners and stuff together. You're going on vacations together. You're having great, like even conversations with them, because you're doing a really great job and you understand how to lead your family. This is also where you have like leading your spouse, leading your kids, and also leading like when it comes to your community or the people that you surround yourself with, right? This is all a part of that pillar. The third pillar that we talk about inside the program is leading in your profession or your business, all right? Now, there's three main parts to this when it comes to leading in your business and your profession. Number one is influence, getting other people to take actions that they want to take. Number two is boundaries, like setting up boundaries so that not only do they know how not to infringe on it, but that you don't feel resentful when they pass over boundaries because you haven't set it. And the third piece has to do with confidence. like getting yourself to show up as a confident leader. And by doing that in your business or in your profession, you will get people to take more action because you will just have this feeling of like, just confidence that literally can like pass through, even sometimes through a camera, sometimes through like even an email, because that person is so confident in what it is that they're doing that you're like, this has to be something for me to take the next step on. Now, these three parts is what we tackle inside the Ideal Leader Blueprint. The first piece that we talked about today was the negative self-talk. And I want to talk to you about like what is included in the program, what we're going to be doing this round, which is going to be a little bit different. We've had a previous couple rounds, but this time we're doing something even more special, all right? Now I want to go over the actual curriculum because I want people to understand like what they're going to be learning if this is something that you want to do, okay? So part of the curriculum is my exact blueprint to grow your leadership confidence and eliminate the negative self-talk so you can crush every opportunity you have to lead and never have to second guess yourself again. What would it feel like to be able to have that? The second thing is discover how to become a leader of leaders by empowering other leaders to lead more effectively so you can create a team of motivated and energized leaders ready to impact the world. Sometimes, guys, when we're leading and we don't understand the skills of developing other leaders, we develop other followers. They're dependent on you. They require you. They need you to tell them every single thing you're going to do. Now, here's the thing, like I didn't have these skills before I learned all that I had to learn, not only through my LAPD career, but through my business, my 10-year business coaching business. But I was also creating other followers. I can't tell you what the difference is when you start creating other leaders. And inside the program, we teach you how to do that. Next thing is my proven method for setting the energy and positivity on your team so you can never have to worry about morale or toxicity because you're taking care of issues before they arise. So many people are in the police field and they're like, Mark, like how do you keep it like such a positive and upbeat environment with all the toxicity that's going on? That I'm going to share with you in the program is how to create that kind of environment, whether it's on your team pages, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your career, whether it's in your family at home, is how to create this kind of environment where it is positive, it is full of go-getters, and it doesn't have anything to do with a lack of morale or toxicity. And then the other piece is my step-by-step leadership tracker so you can focus on clear tasks and keep growing your leadership daily in a way that actually saves you a massive amount of time. And this can be done no matter how busy you are. Now, all of those other things would be great. And sometimes, in the past, I'll talk to you in a minute about how I used to do this, and it used to take me 6 months to be able to help people through that. But we don't have time, guys. As a leader, people ask for our time more often than if I was a follower. Because they know, like, if you want to get something done, you give it to the busiest person in the room, right? And when you know that, like, people will naturally give you more things to do, you kind of run out of time. Which is why while I was putting this together, I made sure, number one, first off, this is when I was a full-time police sergeant. I had 2 incredible kids, still do, amazing wife. I was a full-time coach. I actually co-created my own life coach school. I had to make sure that when I was learning these things, it had to be in super bite-sized pieces, which is why I created this tracker to really help you like take those small actions over time that actually do create some massive results in your life if you're doing the right things. Small actions by themselves are not important. The right actions are important, and that's what's included in my leadership tracker. And then my leadership framework to help you influence others from any position or level in an authentic way so you can be recognized by others as an effective and emotionally intelligent leader. I think the most important thing here is doing it in an authentic way. Like, I don't want to teach you how to manipulate people. Like, that is not in this course. Please do not sign up if you want to manipulate people, all right? This is something that I do where I teach people how to use the push method to actually ask really great questions, to get people to show up for themselves, to get people to identify what they really want, and to get them to take the actions. Yes, probably the actions that we want them to take. We want them to take it because they want to take it, not because of us. And we do that by really being ourselves and understanding not only the skills that you learn inside of the Ideal Leader Blueprint, but understanding like how belief drives your behavior, right? And then, of course, we have a safe community of like-minded and growth-oriented leaders that are focused on finding solutions while also creating an environment where you don't feel judged or shamed for speaking up. That was one thing that is a huge deal for me. If anybody tries to guilt, shame, or humiliate anybody, they can never be a part of my programs. We are all about learning, growing, making mistakes, and learning from them, but doing it in a way that's called exponential growth. If you're by yourself learning something, you're learning like at a rate of 1 to 1. But if you have, like, let's say, for example, 50 other people, and those 50 people are learning too, and they come in and they share their experiences with you, you're learning basically 50 to 1 instead of 1 to 1. This is the reason why doing things on your own, I never subscribe to that anymore. I did for a long time. I'll just figure this out on my own. And that's why it took me so many years to be able to do it. Now I'm like, oh, I want to get better at YouTube. Let me find somebody who really rocks YouTube and like hang out, create a mastermind team, and really be surrounded by the right people. Like Josh says, the 3 levels of reach, and literally be able to bring myself up so much faster. So the community, a lot of the times that I join something is because the community will help me not only take more massive action, but take the right actions. Now, the Ideal Leader Blueprint, it's self-paced. It's a course focused on leadership and self-coaching using the push method. So the push method that we talked about here today, guys, rolls through everything that we do in an Ideal Leader Blueprint. You're going to see that there's different modules focused on leading yourself, leading your family, and leading personally and professionally. Every single one of those flows through the push method. So you can use the push method while you're actually going through them. I've actually created it that way. So you don't even have to know anything about the push method. You just know that the questions that I have asked you, that you're going to be asking of other people, and you know that it's going to lead you to take the right actions, all right? I have a workbook so you can personalize this for your specific situation, specific leadership role, because everybody has a little bit different of leadership roles, right? And we have different ways of being the authentic versions of ourselves. And so that's why I put a workbook together so you can actually work through it as you go, right? And then lifetime access for times you need a refresher. So the way that I broke down the course is, yes, we're going to go through it together, but then once you get through it, then you can go back to, you know what, I want to spend a little bit more time on family connection now. I want to spend a little bit more time on stress management. I want to spend a little bit more time on like creating a business, maybe creating an offer that feels like so irresistible that people are going to reach out to me. And you can go back to those very specific modules and dive in a little bit deeper, all right? And then access to our community and the ability to connect with other leaders to keep you on track and support you along the way. And then my personal daily leadership tracker to help you save a ton of time. Now, you don't have to do this tracker, but when I was like, hey, I have like an hour a day to get all this stuff done. If it can't be done in an hour, then I'm not going to be able to do it. So I had to compact it all into an hour, and that's what the tracker is. It's like an hour. A lot of times it's the things that some of those things you're currently doing, but just doing them in a very specific way. And when you do them in that specific way, it actually helps you like rock the other 23 hours that you have. And so being able to develop this, so many people have asked me for it. That's why I've decided to add it into the program. Now, like I said, this used to be a 6-month mastermind where I met every single week and we got on for about an hour call, and it was $1,800 for all 6 months. But that's when I was like, okay, I want to help out more people. I want to make it more affordable for people. And I also want them to be able to go through it at their own time. So if they can't make it live, I still want them to be empowered to go through the training and get all they need to become the modern leader that they truly can become. And so what I decided to do is to drop the investment to $797. But here's the thing, and Josh always pushes me on this. He's like, yeah, but guy, like, people love a special. People love something that will get them to take action right now, and they will love to save money. And that's why I've decided that there's going to be a founders group special. So back when I started this, the price of the Ideal Leader Blueprint was $497. What I've decided to do for the next 4 days is actually reduce it to $497 for people who are ready to jump in and become the modern leader, the confident modern leader that they truly want to become. Now, I do want to say that I've added in some bonuses for people who decide to sign up or people who do sign up today. All right. Bonus number 1 is access to my book, Mastering Your Life Through Self-Coaching, including the audiobook for free. $15 value there. I don't know why I threw that in there, but I did. Bonus number 2. This round, I told you I'm doing something different. I'm actually doing 3 live coaching rounds for those people who are inside of the program. By the way, if you're already inside of the program, I see Amber and a few other people who are here, you get all of this. Just like everybody else, like you get grandfathered in. Any other adjustments and changes that I make to the Ideal Leader Blueprint, you get them for free. That's something that even if people who are just brand new right now, you're signing up, any adjustments that I make in the future, you get to be a part of the program. But you get 3 live coaching calls with me starting in March. So there's 1 in March and 2 in April, something like that, but over a 2-month period of time, because we're going to put this into a very easy to follow system that is not going to take you a lot of time, but I'm also going to be there to help coach you through to really get you to show up and to find your heart voice, because sometimes in the beginning, it's kind of it's something you need some help with a coach. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be there for 3 different calls. If you're listening to this after and you just came upon this video on YouTube, and it's after the March in April, after we have the live calls, I'm going to have all the calls as pre-recorded calls so you can go back and listen to it and really see how I coach people, but then also when I answered people's questions, all right? And then bonus number 3 is something I convinced Teresa of last night, is for the first 5 people who sign up today, you get to have a 20-minute one-on-one session with either me or Teresa. After you sign up, we will either I'll connect with you or Teresa will connect with you. You don't get to decide. We'll figure out who is going to be best to serve you depending on what specifically you're trying to grow in, what specific leadership role you're trying to like lean into. But you get a free one-on-one with us for 20 minutes. This is normally $450 if you were to just get on the phone with me for 20 minutes. That's how much it would cost. And this is what we're offering for people who sign up today. What is today? It's February 25th. So if it's past February 25th, I apologize. But if you sign up today, that's what you get. Now, my guarantee. So there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, which means, yes, if you sign up, you don't like the groups, you don't like the workbook, you don't like my approach, you don't like my live calls, you don't like any of that, you can send me an email at mark@mindsetwithmark.com and I'll give you a full refund for 30 days. You get to try it. So that way there's no like fear of like, what if this doesn't work? Well, you'll know. Because after 30 days, you'll have an idea of what this course has and then the community that it has. I guarantee you're not going to want to leave. So, Founders Group Special, like I said, $497. And the special, it says ends March 5th. Okay, my slide says March 5th, so that's when we're going to do it. So it's going to end on March 5th. So if you sign up for $497, you will have access to the entire course, the live calls, all the things that I talked about. But for the first 5 people who sign up today, you actually get those one-on-one bonuses with Teresa and I, all right? If you go to mindsetwithmark.com/blueprint, you can find all the details there. Now I want to go into some Q&A. I'm going to actually type it out here in case anybody wants an easy way of going to it. mindsetwithmark.com/blueprint. Let me make sure that that actually opens. And we're going to answer some questions. So if anybody has any questions, please comment them in the chat, whether you're here live, that would be great. But even if Amber says, I just want the one-on-ones, what a great deal. Even if like you're watching this on the replay, you can definitely go back and hit up some questions so that we can, so I can answer them for you, okay? Now there's a couple questions that most people ask me, and I'm gonna go through them real quick right now. And Teresa, if you see any questions, just feel free to comment any of those below because I didn't read all the comments, okay? Some of the questions that people generally will ask is when they're presented with something like this. Number one is like, what if now is not the right time? So what if now is not the right time? And I really want to talk about this in terms of like head versus heart. So you can kind of see what your brain is trying to do when it thinks that there actually is a right time. The right time is a thought. The right time is like, this is the right time for me to do this. That means that nothing on the outside has to change for you to make an internal decision of like, this is the right time. Now, I do understand there's situations when you're like, you know what, this might be the right time, but I'm going to kind of put this on hold. But you have to see this from the position of your heart, not from the position of your head, which is lack, scarcity, all those kind of things, all right? Because your head will get you to not take the actions, but do it from a way of like 3 months, 6 months down the line, you're going to beat yourself up if you're like, oh my God, look at all these people who were able to like literally change their life and I didn't do this. That's not the energy that we want. The energy that we want is like, this is an actual decision. It's just a thought in your mind. My goal, honestly, is to get you to decide one way or the other, whether it's join or not join. Because the problem is being in the middle somewhere. Because if you're in the middle somewhere and you're basically deciding not to join, but you're not taking ownership of it, and so it feels like crap when you're not deciding. So instead, lean in and you want to ask yourself some questions. Number one is, what are you most afraid of? So what are you most afraid of? Some people will be like, well, I'm not sure if I have enough time. I'm not sure if this is going to work for me. I'm not sure if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'll be able to go through the workbook. I don't know. I'm like a little nervous, like being in the community. Like all of these, like really attack. Is that your head or is that your heart? Are those true? Or are you like just like elevating them up to be true so that you don't have to take action? The other thing is like, what excites you the most about this? That's usually a question that gets you into your heart. And by the way, if you have a business, please ask these questions to your people too, because you want them to see both ends of them. What they're actually afraid of and what actually excites them the most. And so when you ask yourself, like, if you fast forward like 2 years from now, okay, let's say you went through this course, you took the action, because this is a very actionable course. Most courses aren't. They just kind of like throw stuff up there and then have you go through it at your own time. No, this is very actionable. I'm all about taking action, but getting in here to find the belief that's going to get you to show up, right? And so when you think about that, if you employ this into your personal life, what kind of impact will it have made in the next year or 2 years when it comes to your health, when it comes to your family connection, when it comes to like you leading people, when it comes to your business. And when I think about those things, I decide which way I'm going to go. Now, I'm saying this not because I want to trick you into getting into the program. I don't want you, if you don't want to be a part of this program, you're like, I don't like this guy. This is not for me. I don't want you to sign up, and I definitely don't want your money. I only want people who are like, no, this is going to be a game changer for me, understanding the skills, being able to eliminate the self-talk that's going on in here, and then also be able to help other people do that to become the modern leader. That means that I'm influencing people, like so many different people, that it's making a huge impact in their life. And if that's you, then it's time to lean in. It's time to go, and you know what? Now is the right time. I'll work all of the other things around this, and then you lean in and you take those actions. I haven't shared this. I mean, I share this a lot with my team, but not a lot of people on the outside know this. But like the moment that it changed for me was when my son, Andrew, was born. And he was born at 73. No, he had to spend 73 days in the NICU. He was born at 28 weeks. He was like 1 pound, 9 ounces. Like I could literally, his whole hand wrapped around my thumb. I still remember that. And when you have your first child and they tell you, okay, you go home, we're going to keep him here because he can't breathe on his own. And then, I go home and my son isn't with me. It takes a physical and emotional toll on me. Now, can I just say that that is the time that I decided, the thought that this was my rock bottom. I was never going to allow myself to be unhealthy, to not be able to show up for him, to not be able to be mentally and emotionally like available to him, because I couldn't at the time. My whole body felt like it was just like literally shutting down. I ended up developing shingles, so many other stories that I'll save for another time. But it was that moment that I was like, this is my rock bottom. I've made the decision. That is a thought. That thought got me to take so much massive action. And if I had never experienced that, I would never be where I'm at today, because it got me to feel the pain of being there and going, I'm never going to be here again. It's just, once again, it is a thought. It's a thought that says, this is my rock bottom. This is the right time. And if you truly do believe that, and you're truly like, I need to see something different, I need to do something different, I need to take more massive action, I need to become the type of leader that other people want to follow, and you take that step, I promise you're going to be able to manifest that at the end of your road, okay? All right, what if I'm not a leader yet? I get this question a lot. I'm not sure why people ask this question, like, I don't think I'm a leader. It's because they're thinking of like formal, like managers or bosses. Like, do you have kids? Do you have nieces and nephews? Do you have animals? Like, do you work somewhere? Like, there's some place somewhere that you're leading. Do you have a social media account? Because you're leading people. The one person that you're always leading, though, no matter if you have none of those, is yourself. You are always a leader. When you think about things, like you are influencing yourself to take actions. So when people say, well, I don't think I'm a leader, like I don't think this is going to make that big of a difference, I'm like, well, the number one person that you want to be able to lead is yourself. That's literally why I wrote my book, because when you can lead yourself, you earn the right to lead other leaders when you get really great at leading yourself. And if you're not in that role yet, then it's even better for you to take this, because when you get into that role, you'll already have all of these skills developed, and you won't have to be going back and try to learn the skills after you already have that role, okay? Let's see. I have a lot of courses I bought that I've never done anything with, okay? So if you have had things in the past that you've invested in that you haven't taken those actions, I just want to say, like, I feel you. I literally still have some courses that I haven't personally taken. That being said, that's the reason why I put the Ideal Leader Blueprint together the way that I did. I made it very short, very actionable, very personable, and then even added in like live coaching calls. For $500, that's pretty crazy, because normally one call with me would be more than $500. But I wanted to do that because I know that I want to help out a massive amount of people, but also because I want people to see that you don't need hours and hours and hours every single day to become an incredible leader. You don't need like millions and millions of amounts of training in order to do that. You can do that in literally, this whole entire course is less than 8 hours. If you look at all of the different modules. Now, you're not going to want to go through them just instantly from one to the other, but it's only 8 hours worth of stuff to totally transform your life and your leadership forever. Forever, forever. Like, this is one of those things where once you get in there, once you start taking action, and we will set you up for taking action, you'll be amazed at how much you're able to transform in this short period of time. And then once you have these skills, guys, this is something you never give up. You always have these skills, and it's something you can build off of, and something you can help lead yourself, lead your family, and lead in multiple different areas, all right? So I understand when it comes to like getting a lot of courses that maybe you have gotten stuck in there. But have they been like a course like this? Do they understand that belief is what drives your behavior? Do they understand what using the push method can do, and really how life coaching can get you to show up as the kind of leader that you can truly be? Amber, I appreciate that. Amber says the ideal leader blueprint changed everything, the missing link or the puzzle piece. I appreciate that so much. Okay, guys, I want to end with this. Whether or not you decide to join, I want you to know that this is 1000% possible for you too. All right. The things that I'm putting out here is because I want to speed up the process for you as quickly as possible. But if you're the kind of person where you can't invest, you don't have any time to put into a program like this, there's just like no way for you to do this. I want to let you know that it does not mean that it's not possible for you. It's 1000% possible for you. Everybody has living inside of them all of the answers that they need. All right. If I can speed up that process for you, that's what I'm here for. Head to the Ideal Leader Blueprint. It's mindsetwithmark.com, mark with a C, /blueprint, and sign up before the actual doors close and before it goes back up to its regular price. And then we will jump in and get started on March 6th. Okay. That is the day we actually officially start. March 5th is the last day to join. But like I said, as long as you're out there taking action, wanting to grow, wanting to become better, even if you don't join the program, I 1000% believe it's possible for you too. And if there's anything that I can do for you, subscribe to this YouTube channel, get on my email list, like whatever you can possibly do to get some of the free stuff to help get you started, please do so. But don't make this mean that you can't succeed if you don't have this. All right. I only want to speed up this process for you. And if I can do that for you, I appreciate you. And I really just want to end with that, like how much I appreciate you for your leadership. Not only being here on this call, but like doing the tough things that you're doing, leaning in, creating businesses, like really wanting to become a better parent or a better spouse, really wanting to become a better leader at work. Like this takes work. It's not the easy times that makes you an incredible leader. It's the hard times. It's the times when life is like got you down, but you get up anyway, and you're literally proof to others that it's possible for them too. I appreciate you for what you're doing out there, for every single time that you're leading, and please keep leading from the front. And you've got this. If there's anything that I can do to help, I appreciate you. Just reach out to me, let me know. And then for those of you guys who do join the Ideal Leader Blueprint, I cannot wait to share this life-changing experience with you inside of the program, all right? All right, you guys have an incredible, incredible weekend, and I'll talk to you soon, all right? All right, bye, leaders.